Good early morning, everybody. You are listening to the AFC version of the divisional round playoff talk. In the NFC versions, this is a spoiler alert, so you've got 5 seconds to listen away or cover your ears before I reveal who I think will be in the NFC title game. I predict the Seahawks and the Panthers to be in the NFC title game. And now, time to talk about the AFC playoff games. The first game features a rivalry renewed that over the last decade and a half has become the best rivalry in the NFL between non-divisional opponents. I still believe that in terms of the NFL, the Ravens and Steelers are the best rivalry, but that's just me. Non-division opponents, Colts and the Patriots, definitely. Whether it was Manning and Brady and now Luck and Brady, doesn't matter. Game's still just as good, if you ask me. We have, speaking of which, Andrew Luck facing Tom Brady this evening, in Foxborough, Massachusetts in the divisional playoffs. Now, this game will truly show, I talk about how against the Niners, Cam Newton will show how much he deserved the number 1 draft pick. I think in this game, Cam Newton shows why Cam Newton was the number 1 draft pick. I think that Andrew Luck in this game shows why he is the number 1 overall draft pick a few years ago. I think he's going to have one of the best games of his career, and it's going to be tough for him to win against Brady. And it has honestly, this game, the more I thought about it, does not have as much to do with Brady versus Luck. It has to do with the rest of the players around them. If you take away Robert Mathis, then the defenses are just about even. And if you take away Bill Belichick, then I think the coaching is just about even. So really this game, adding a few guys to each side, this game is pretty totally even. But it's going to be tough for the Colts to go to Foxborough and win. This is one of the games I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to all of them, but this one in particular because I want to see how well Andrew Luck does going on the road in a tough environment in the playoffs. He didn't handle it so well in Baltimore last year, but then again, that was Ray Lewis's, magical mystery, ending his career with his deer antler enhanced arms, but that was a joke. But anyways, I don't really view this game as being similar because I don't think the Foxborough crowd is as nuts or as sick or as any of those things as the Ravens fans are. I think he's going to perform a lot better. Last week he looked like he was the best quarterback in the league at times. Last week it looked like he was one of the worst. And I don't think we're going to get the same inconsistency from him this time. As for Tom Brady, we know what to expect. He's going to go out there and throw 4 touchdowns and throw 400 yards. He's going to go out there and throw for 250 and throw more picks than scores. I mean, that's just how Brady's been the last few years. Like, prior to 2007, he was almost money in the playoffs. And then, the losses mounted. First was the divisional game against the Broncos in 2005, the year the Steelers won it. Played pretty poorly. Then you look at 2006, threw the costly pick to lose the game against the Colts. 2007, underperformed terribly in the Super Bowl. 2009, the Ravens came into town and ran the ball right down their throats. 2010, Jets came in. 2011, the Giants. And 2012 against the Ravens. So look at his playoff losses. In all those games, he underperformed significantly. My theory is this. He's not as clutch as he used to be because he's starting to get older, and I've never ever felt that Brady was particularly smart. He's had some good weapons, and at times has made some bad teams look really good with his arm. But I think that's just the fact that he's just accurate, more or less. Not so smart, but just accurate. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. In terms of just breaking down this game, if you match the Patriots' offense against the Colts' defense, you find the biggest mismatch in this game. And that's how the Patriots can run the football. The 2013 Patriots, you wouldn't think of as a great running team. 9th in the NFL, respectively, in rushing yards. 2nd in rushing touchdowns at 19. And if you look at their games this year, the last 2 games against the Bills and the Ravens, Two teams that are pretty similar in terms of the Colts in terms of run defense. The Ravens obviously probably a little bit better. They ran for a grand total of 409 yards, for an average of 204.5 per game, 205. So they're averaging 205 per game. And if you look at the second half of their season, like they start off the year kind of slowly on offense. The second half of the season, I mean, starting with the game against Pittsburgh when they scored 55. Yes, I know Gronkowski was playing it, and now he's not. But I think Julian Edelman has proven that he's actually a good receiver this year, which is, if you can make Edelman look good, then you're pretty good. And Brady's done that, and he's done that his whole career. That's why I've always put him ahead of Manning, is because he can make bad guys look good. But think about it. The second half of this year, they've just been much better at running the football than they were earlier in the year. $137.5 rushing yards a game. Was what they averaged over the last half of the season. As opposed to only 120 the first half. And that's a big difference. And that's 17 yards between a couple first downs ending the game and having to punt it and you give it up to your offense. They had some really bad performances the first half of the year. But the second half of the year and the games that they've lost, it's more or less been their opponents that beat them. Not so much them just not being able to do it themselves. And Brady's been getting progressively better. He's had, in my opinion, one of the best years of his career. I mean, his numbers wouldn't show you that. I mean, he barely completed 60% of his passes and only threw 14 more touchdowns and picks. But you look at, again, the guys he threw to. And none of his four leading receivers from last year for most of the year. But the biggest problem this year for the Colts has been the biggest plus for the Patriots, running. The Indianapolis Colts run defense is just miserable. Only 3 teams failed to rush for 100 yards against the Colts. The Jags twice and the Broncos. That's it. If you take away their 3 losses, this run defense even gets worse. Counting the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, hang on, I did the math completely wrong there. I'm doing this to show you exactly how bad the Colts' run defense is. $154 yards a game on the ground they give up. And they played some teams with some pretty crappy run games. Miami had a good game running against them. St. Louis didn't run the ball particularly well. They did. Arizona wasn't a great run team. Cincinnati wasn't a great run team. Team just ran the ball on them. And that means guys like LeGarrette Blount, Shane Vereen, and Stephon Ridley are going to have big games. LeGarrette Blount's the guy that I think is going to have a really big game. Because in the game against the Ravens, he had 2 rushing touchdowns and 76 yards. And a game against the Buffalo Bills in the season finale. Two rushing touchdowns, 189 yards. He'll be the key to that game, I think. And I think that it's going to be tough for the Patriots I think it's tough for the Colts to stop them. The Patriots will be able to keep this long drives going and keep Luck on the sidelines. Brady will have so much pressure taken off him, it'll be so much easier for him to complete passes knowing he doesn't have to do it all himself. Now, if you flip it over, you've got the Colts offense against the Patriots defense. That will be problematic for the Patriots in the passing game. The running game, I don't expect the Colts to do a whole lot because Trent Richardson's proven to be a bust since they got him, and Donald Brown has not been a particularly particularly fast, outstanding player since they got him. I think he drafted in 2008, 2009. He's not been the greatest player for them, but he's been serviceable. I just would be really, really surprised if they had a good day running. I'm thinking maybe 65, 70 yards rushing, but I think it's going to be mostly luck and T.Y. Hilton and Kobe Fleener are having to win this game. I don't really expect New England to allow the Colts to run the football, particularly in New England. I mean, the Patriots this year in their run defense, they were 30th in the league, which is not very good. But their running defense at home, significantly better than when they were on the road. Of the games that they gave up the most rushing yards, most of them were on the road. 3 of the 6 were on the road. It's actually 50-50. It's not so much an even stretch. But if you look at the last few games, their run defense is starting to get a little bit better. They didn't give up a lot of rushing yards to the Bills. By that time, they pulled a lot of starters in the game. The Ravens committed a lot of turnovers and had a lot of possessions, and the Dolphins really didn't do a lot either. Neither did Cleveland. So, honestly, and this team's been much better in the second half of games than the first half. So I think Indianapolis it's going to be easier for Indianapolis maybe in the first half to get some rushing yards, but once Belichick makes his halftime adjustment, it'll be clamping down like a padlock. The one X factor, though, for the Patriots defense is Chandler Jones, because he's been their best defensive playmaker this year. 11.5 sacks for the 23-year-old. He's going to have to be getting heavy pressure on Luck if the Patriots want to win this game. But now for my final prediction. The winner of this game will be the New England Patriots. I know I'm picking most of the favorites this weekend, but this is one of the games I was very unsure of. The other 2 games, the Carolina game was the only game I was really certain of, believe it or not. But this is one of the games I was really uncertain on. This is probably the number 1 game because of the fact I felt, you know what, it's time the Patriots go out in the division round, and it's time the Colts go in there and show they're for real, and they've woken up like to be a legitimate contender with Andrew Luck. That being said, I just don't see it this year. I still think on defense there are maybe a linebacker and a defensive tackle away and a receiver on offense from being that Super Bowl champion. As of now, they're good enough to win the division and make the playoffs as the 4th seed and to go to the next level. But are they good enough to go to New England and beat the Pats? I don't think so. I think the Pats are going to be able to move the football on the ground. I think LeGarrette Blount, Shane Vereen, those guys are really, really, really going to be effective against the Colts on the run defense. And Robert Mathis, the sack guy for the Colts, had 19.5 this year. He's going to have to get heavy pressure on Brady, but as the year's gone on, Brady's sack percentage has just completely dropped off. He's been getting sacked less and less and less. And I think that's going to be a big, big plus for this team because if he's able to stay upright in the pocket and the Pats can move the ball on the ground, Indy's going to spend a lot of time on the sideline as Brady racks up some points. I say 31-23 is the final score for this game. I say the Colts get it close later, but I think Brady drives them down and gets a score with a couple minutes left in the 4th quarter, and I think a touchdown puts it away. So 31-23 is my final. I don't really see a way where the Colts slow down the Pats' run defense, slow down the Pats' running offense. I could see the other way around. I could see the Pats stiffening their run defense. I don't see the Colts doing it because the Colts, particularly on the road, have been really problematic in playing rush defense. Hell, they give over 130 yards rushing to a Chiefs team, didn't even have Jamal Charles. That's all I need to know. So that does it for the 3rd playoff breakdown, and it's time for the final playoff breakdown coming up between the Broncos and the Chargers. Will I predict the Chargers to upset the Broncos?